The stars looked peaceful from the bridge of the Harmony's edge. Captain HFY watched them through the wide window as his ship moved through space. His blue skin shimmered in the soft light, and his forearms worked smoothly across the control panels. He had been exploring space for 30 years, meeting new species and bringing them into the Galactic Federation. It was good work. Important work. Captain, called Dr. Krill from his science station. The small, insect-like alien clicked his mandibles together, a sign he was excited. I'm picking up radio signals from the third planet in this system. HFY turned his large, gentle eyes toward the doctor. Another civilization? Yes, sir. The signals are primitive but organized. The planet is called Sol 3, but the inhabitants seem to call it Earth. The captain nodded and walked over to look at the data. The Federation had found hundreds of new species over the years. Most were peaceful farmers or simple hunters. Some were smart enough to join the Federation right away. Others needed time to grow and learn. It was always exciting to find new friends among the stars. What can you tell me about them? HFY asked. Dr. Krill's 6 legs tapped against the floor as he worked. They appear to be mammals, Captain. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Very basic. The radio signals suggest they have basic technology, but nothing advanced. No faster than light travel. No energy weapons. Just simple electronic communication. How many of them are there? The signal suggests several billion individuals spread across the planet's surface. They seem to live in large groups, what they call cities. HFY smiled, showing his flat plant-eating teeth. Wonderful. Begin the standard first contact. Protocol. Let's see what these humans are like. The ship's computer began scanning Earth more carefully. The planet was beautiful from space. Blue oceans, white clouds, green and brown land masses. It looked like many other peaceful worlds the Federation had found. The computer showed that the planet had perfect conditions for life. Not too hot, not too cold. Plenty of water, rich soil. It was the kind of world where gentle species usually lived. Captain, Dr. Krill said, his voice sounding confused. I'm getting some strange readings. What kind of strange? Well, there are high levels of refined metals all over the planet, much higher than we usually see from primitive civilizations. And there are these energy signatures. Energy signatures? Dr. Krill's mandibles clicked faster. Yes, sir. Small controlled explosions happening all over the planet. Thousands of them every day. I'm not sure what they could be for. HFY thought about this. Perhaps they use explosions for mining or construction? Many young species use crude methods before they learn better ways. Perhaps, Dr. Krill agreed, though he still sounded worried. The navigation officer, a tall, thin alien named Whistlesong, called out from her station. Captain, I'm detecting organized electromagnetic patterns around the planet. It looks like some kind of network. A communication network? Yes, but it's very complex. More complex than most pre-FTL species have. HFY nodded. Some species are naturally good at communication. Remember the singing crystals of Vega? They had planet-wide communication networks before they discovered fire. The bridge crew continued their scans as the ship moved closer to Earth. Everything seemed normal for a first contact mission. The Federation had done this thousands of times. They would approach peacefully, make contact, share knowledge, and invite the new species to join the galactic community. It was a beautiful process that had brought peace to countless worlds. Captain, Dr. Krill said suddenly, I'm reading some very strange chemical signatures in their atmosphere. Pollution? HFY asked. Many young industrial species pollute their air before they learn to be more careful. No, sir. These are organized chemical patterns, almost like they're designed for something specific. The captain frowned. In all his years of exploration, he had learned to trust Dr. Krill's scientific mind. If something seemed strange to the doctor, it was worth investigating. Can you identify the chemicals? Dr. Krill worked at his station for several minutes. When he looked up, his compound eyes seemed troubled. Sir, many of these chemicals are dangerous. Some are highly toxic, others are explosive, and some are He paused. Some are the kind of chemicals that could be used as weapons. Weapons? HFY laughed gently. Doctor, you worry too much. These humans are mammals. Mammals are usually peaceful. They probably use these chemicals for farming or industry. But Dr. Krill didn't look convinced. Sir, I'm also detecting what appears to be radioactive material. Refined radioactive material. For power generation, surely? Yes, sir. That's probably it. The ship moved into Earth's outer atmosphere. The planet looked even more beautiful. Up close. Cities sparkled like jewels across the continents. Lights traced paths between them, showing trade routes and connections. It looked like a thriving, peaceful civilization. Begin standard greeting protocols, HFY ordered. Send the mathematical friendship sequence on all radio frequencies. The communication officer, a blob-like creature named Gurgle, sent out the Federation's standard first contact message. It used simple mathematics to show that they came in peace and wanted to communicate. Now we wait, HFY said. Most species take a few hours to understand the message and respond. But something was happening on the planet below. Dr. Krill's instruments began showing increased activity. Energy signatures were spiking all over Earth. Captain, Dr. Krill said, his voice high with worry. Something's happening down there. What do you mean? The energy readings are increasing rapidly. Those electromagnetic networks are becoming much more active. And Dr. Krill paused to check his instruments again. Those refined metal signatures are moving. Moving? Yes, sir. Large metal objects are moving all around the planet. Moving fast. HFY felt a small worry in his stomach, but he pushed it away. Probably just their normal daily activities. Maybe our message excited them and they're calling their friends. Perhaps, Dr. Krill said, but he didn't sound convinced. The ship's sensors continued to monitor Earth as they waited for a response to their peaceful greeting. The planet below seemed to be waking up in some way. More lights were appearing, more energy signatures, more movement. Captain, whistle song called from navigation. I'm detecting multiple objects leaving the planet's surface. Objects? Yes, sir. Small craft, I think. They're moving very fast toward our position. HFY smiled. How wonderful. They're sending ambassadors to meet us. I told you these mammals would be friendly. But Dr. Krill was studying his instruments with growing alarm. Captain, those objects, they're not moving like normal spacecraft. What do you mean? They're moving like projectiles, sir. The bridge fell silent. Every member of the crew turned to look at their instruments. The objects from Earth were definitely coming toward them, and they were moving very, very fast. Captain, Gurgle said quietly, I don't think those are ambassadors. HFY looked out at the beautiful blue planet below and felt his first real worry of the mission. Maybe these humans weren't quite as peaceful as he had expected. Red alert, he said quietly. Raise shields. The peaceful exploration mission had just become something else entirely. Admiral Sarah Chen was drinking her morning coffee when the red phone rang. She had been expecting this call for 20 years, ever since she first joined the Space Defense Initiative. Every military officer on Earth had been waiting for this call. They just never thought it would actually come. Admiral Chen here. Ma'am, this is Colonel Martinez at NORAD. We have a situation. Sarah set down her coffee and grabbed her uniform jacket. Talk to me. We have an unidentified object in our atmosphere. Large, very large. It appeared about an hour ago and has been scanning our planet with some kind of energy beam. How large? About 3 kilometers long, ma'am, and it's not from Earth? Sarah felt her heart start beating faster. Are you telling me we have first contact? Yes, ma'am. And they just sent us a message. What kind of message? Mathematical sequences. Prime numbers, mostly. Our scientists think it's an attempt to communicate. Sarah was already walking toward her car. I'll be there in 20 minutes. Put me through to the President and activate Protocol 7. Already done, ma'am. The President is on his way to the bunker. All world leaders have been notified. As Sarah drove toward NORAD, her phone rang constantly. Reports were coming in from around the world. The alien ship was scanning everything. Military bases, cities, industrial areas, every major power on Earth was watching and preparing. She arrived at NORAD to find organized chaos. Officers were running between stations, screens showed data from around the world, and in the center of it all was the main display showing the alien ship. It was beautiful and terrifying at the same time, smooth curves and strange materials that didn't reflect light normally. "Status report," Sarah ordered as she walked into the command center. Colonel Martinez handed her a tablet full of data. "The ship entered our atmosphere 43 minutes ago. It's been conducting what appears to be systematic scans of our entire planet. The scans aren't harmful, but they're very detailed." "What are they scanning for?" "Everything, ma'am. Our satellites, our communication networks, our industrial facilities. They seem particularly interested in our military installations." Sarah felt a cold chill. "Are they targeting us?" "Unknown, ma'am, but we're not taking any chances." On screens, around the room, Sarah could see what was happening across Earth. Every nuclear submarine on the planet was surfacing. Missile silos were opening their doors. Fighter jets were taking off from bases in every country. It was the largest military mobilization in human history. "Ma'am," called Lieutenant Torres from the communications station. "I have President Williams on the secure line." Sarah took the call. "Mr. President." "Sarah, what's the situation?" "We have confirmed extraterrestrial contact, sir. One large vessel conducting detailed scans of our planet. All defense systems are active and ready." "Are they hostile?" "Unknown, sir. They've sent what appears to be a peaceful mathematical message, but their behavior is concerning. They're scanning our military capabilities very thoroughly." "Recommendations?" Sarah looked at the main screen showing the alien ship. It was beautiful, but she had been trained to think like a military strategist. "Sir, if this were a human ship, behaving this way, I would consider it hostile reconnaissance. I recommend we prepare for the worst while hoping for the best." "Agreed. You have full authority to defend the planet, Admiral." The call ended, and Sarah turned back to the command center. Reports were coming in from around the world. China had mobilized its entire air force. Russia had activated its nuclear arsenal. NATO forces were moving into position. Even countries that had never cooperated before were sharing information and coordinating their responses. "Ma'am," Colonel Martinez said, "we're getting some interesting data from the space agencies." "What kind of data?" "NASA, ESA, and the other space agencies have been tracking the ship since it arrived. They've calculated its speed, mass, and trajectory, and they've identified several weak points in its structure." Sarah raised an eyebrow. "Weak points?" "Yes, ma'am. Dr. Patterson from NASA says the ship appears to be designed for exploration, not combat. Its hull is built for space travel, not for withstanding attacks." "Interesting. What about weapons?" "That's the strange part, ma'am. We can't detect any obvious weapon systems. No missile ports, no energy weapon arrays, nothing that looks designed to attack." Sarah thought about this. Maybe they don't need weapons. Maybe their technology is so advanced that they don't consider us a threat. "Or maybe," said Dr. Elizabeth Harper, Sarah's science advisor, "they come from a part of the galaxy where they've never had to fight anyone." The idea was almost unthinkable to Sarah. A species that had never known war? It seemed impossible. But then again, everything about today seemed impossible. "Ma'am," Lieutenant Torres called out, "the ship is deploying smaller objects." On the main screen, they watched as several small craft left the alien ship and began moving toward Earth. They were much smaller than the mothership, about the size of fighter jets. "Are they attacking?" Sarah asked. "Negative, ma'am. They're moving slowly and scanning as they go. They appear to be some kind of probe or reconnaissance drone." Sarah made a decision. "Scramble interceptors. I want those probes intercepted before they reach any major population centers." "Yes, ma'am." Within minutes, F-22 Raptors were racing toward the alien probes. The pilots had trained for air-to-air combat their entire careers, but they had never expected to fight aliens. Their radio chatter was calm and professional. "Alien probe in sight. Moving to intercept. Probe appears to be scanning the ground below, no obvious weapons detected. Engaging probe now." The first alien probe was destroyed by an air-to-air missile. It broke apart silently, its pieces falling toward the ocean. The other probes seemed to pause as if they were confused by what had happened. Aboard the Harmony's Edge, Captain ZXHY watched in horror as his peaceful exploration drone was destroyed without warning. "They attacked us," Dr. Krill whispered. "They actually attacked us." "It must be a misunderstanding," ZXHY said, but his voice was shaking. "Send another message. Make it clear that we come in peace." Back at NORAD, Sarah watched as more alien probes were destroyed by interceptor aircraft. The alien ship itself hadn't responded aggressively, but it also wasn't backing down. "Ma'am," Colonel Martinez said, "we're getting reports from around the world. Every major military is engaging the alien probes. So far, we've destroyed 12 of them." "Any response from the mothership?" "No, ma'am. It's just waiting." Sarah stared at the main screen. The alien ship hung in Earth's atmosphere, like a giant question mark. Were they peaceful explorers who didn't understand human defensive responses? Were they gathering intelligence before an attack? Or were they something else entirely? "Ma'am," Dr. Harper said quietly, "there's something else you should know." "What?" "Our deep space monitoring stations have detected something interesting. This ship didn't come alone." Sarah felt her blood run cold. "What do you mean?" "There are more ships, ma'am. Much more. They're still far away beyond Pluto, but they're definitely coming this way." Sarah looked around the command center at all. The officers and technicians working frantically to defend their planet. Humanity had never faced a threat like this before. They were used to fighting each other, but fighting aliens? That was something new. But as she watched her people work, Sarah felt a strange sense of pride. Within an hour of detecting the alien threat, every nation on Earth had put aside their differences and united to defend their world. Every weapon system was active. Every soldier was ready. Every leader was cooperating. For the first time in human history, the entire species was working together toward a single goal. "Colonel Martinez," Sarah said, "send a message to all world leaders. Tell them we're going to make these aliens very sorry they decided to mess with Earth." Captain ZXHY stared at his main display in complete shock. The humans had destroyed 12 of his peaceful exploration drones. 12. In his 30 years of first contact missions, no species had ever attacked Federation vessels. Not even the most primitive ones. "Captain," Dr. Krill said, his mandibles clicking rapidly with fear, "I'm detecting massive energy buildups all across the planet." "What kind of energy buildups?" "Fusion signatures, sir. Hundreds of them. No, thousands." ZXHY felt his 4 hearts begin to race. "Fusion? But they're pre-FTL. How can they have fusion technology?" "I don't know, sir, but the energy signatures are getting stronger, and they're all pointed at us." On Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen watched her display screens with growing concern. The alien ship wasn't retreating, but it also wasn't attacking. It was just sitting there scanning everything. That worried her more than an obvious attack would have. "Ma'am," Colonel Martinez called out, "we're getting reports from submarine commanders around the world. They're requesting permission to surface and target the alien vessel." "How many submarines are we talking about?" "All of them, ma'am. Every nuclear submarine on Earth. The Russians have 12 boats moving into position. The Americans have 14. The British, French, Chinese, and Indians are all reporting ready status." Sarah did some quick math in her head. "That's over 100 nuclear submarines." "Yes, ma'am. Each one carrying multiple nuclear missiles. If we fire all at once..." Sarah didn't need him to finish. The combined nuclear arsenal of Earth's submarine fleet could destroy a small moon. If the aliens were hostile, humanity wasn't going down without a fight. "Ma'am," Dr. Harper said from her science station, "I'm getting some strange readings from the alien ship." "What kind of readings?" "They're scanning our submarines, all of them. It's like they know exactly where each boat is hiding." That was impossible. Sarah knew how hard it was to detect a nuclear submarine underwater. The best military technology on Earth could barely do it, and only under perfect conditions. How are they doing that? "I have no idea, ma'am. But they're tracking every submarine, every missile silo, every military base. They know exactly what we have and where it is." Captain HFY was having his own problems understanding the humans. Dr. Krill's scans were showing him things that shouldn't exist. Captain, these humans have weapons everywhere, not just military weapons. Everything they build seems to have weapon potential. What do you mean? Their transportation systems, sir. They use controlled explosions to move their vehicles. Their construction equipment could be used to build fortifications. Their communication satellites. Dr. Krill paused, his compound eyes growing wide. What about their satellites? Sir, I don't think they're just communication devices. Many of them appear to be equipped with kinetic projectiles. They could drop tungsten rods from orbit. The impact would be devastating. HFY felt sick. They've weaponized their orbital infrastructure? It appears so, sir. And their industrial capacity. Captain, if they converted their entire manufacturing base to military production, they could build weapons faster than most species can build ships. On the surface of Earth, every major government was doing exactly that. Factories that made cars were retooling to make tanks. Computer chip plants were switching to guidance systems for missiles. Even civilian space companies were modifying their rockets to carry military payloads. President Williams sat in his emergency bunker, talking to world leaders on secure video links. The conversation was tense but focused. The alien ship has been scanning us for 3 hours, he said. They know our capabilities now. If they wanted to attack, this would be the perfect time. Perhaps they're waiting for reinforcements, suggested the Chinese premier. Our deep space monitors show more ships approaching. Or perhaps they're analyzing our defenses looking for weaknesses, added the Russian president. What do our military advisors recommend? Asked the British Prime Minister. Admiral Chen believes we should strike first, President Williams said. The element of surprise won't last long. How many weapons can we bring to bear? Asked the French president. Everything, Williams said simply. Every nuclear weapon, every conventional missile, every military asset on Earth. If we're going to fight aliens, we're going to fight with everything we have. Back aboard the Harmony's Edge, Dr. Krill was discovering more disturbing facts about humanity. Captain, I've been analyzing their entertainment broadcasts. Their entertainment? Yes, sir. To understand a species' psychology, it helps to know what they do for fun. And? Dr. Krill's mandibles clicked nervously. They enjoy watching simulated combat, sir. Their entertainment consists largely of fictional wars, violence, and conflict. Resolution through force. That can't be right. I'm afraid it is, sir. They have thousands of stories about space battles, ground combat, and victory through superior firepower, and they seem to enjoy it. HFY felt a chill run through his body. What kind of species enjoys watching violence? A species that evolved through constant warfare, sir. I've been analyzing their history. These humans have been fighting each other for thousands of years. They've developed more ways to hurt each other than any species I've ever studied. But surely they've grown beyond that. Surely they've learned peace. Sir, they stopped fighting each other approximately. Never. They're still fighting right now, even as they respond to our presence. But they're apparently willing to postpone their fights to deal with us. That was when the first human missile hit the Harmony's Edge. It was a kinetic projectile fired from one of Earth's space-based defense platforms. The ship's shields absorbed most of the impact, but the psychological effect was enormous. They're shooting at us, Dr. Krill screamed. Alarms began blaring throughout the ship. The peaceful exploration vessel, designed for scientific research and diplomatic contact, shuddered under the impact. Return fire, ordered the security chief, a large, armored alien named Thok. Belay that order, HFY shouted. We are not at war. Captain, they attacked us. It might be a misunderstanding. But even as he said it, more missiles were streaking toward the ship from Earth. Dozens of them, then hundreds. The planet below had become a hornet's nest of activity, with every human military asset firing everything they had at the alien vessel. Shields down to 60%, called the engineer. Captain, we have to do something, Thok insisted. HFY looked at his peaceful crew, scientists, diplomats, explorers. They had never been in combat. They had never even seen combat. The Federation was a peaceful organization that solved problems through discussion and compromise. But the humans apparently didn't know that. "Take us to a higher orbit," Zexai ordered. "Get us out of range of their weapons." "Sir," Dr. Krill called out. "They're launching more projectiles, much larger ones." On the main screen, they watched as dozens of intercontinental ballistic missiles rose from Earth, their nuclear warheads aimed directly at the Harmony's edge. "Captain," Thok said quietly, "I don't think they want to talk." Admiral Sarah Chen watched the missile tracks on her display with grim satisfaction. Every nuclear-armed nation on Earth had fired at least one ICBM at the alien ship. It was the largest coordinated military strike in human history. "Time to impact, 2 minutes," Colonel Martinez reported. "Are they trying to escape?" Sarah asked. "The ship is climbing to a higher orbit, but slowly. They won't get out of range in time." Sarah nodded. "Good. Let's see how they handle a few dozen nuclear warheads." She turned to Dr. Harper. "Any sign of other alien ships?" "The fleet beyond Pluto is still approaching, ma'am. ETA approximately 6 hours. Then we better make this first ship count. If we can destroy it, maybe the others will think twice about messing with Earth." As the nuclear missiles streaked toward their target, Sarah felt a strange sense of pride. Humanity might be primitive compared to space-traveling aliens, but they weren't defenseless. They had spent thousands of years learning how to fight, and they had gotten very good at it. The aliens were about to learn that attacking Earth was a very bad idea, even if the aliens had never actually attacked anyone. The nuclear explosions lit up space like tiny suns. Captain Zexai watched in horror as dozens of fusion warheads detonated around his ship. The Harmony's edge shook violently, its shields flashing and sparking under the tremendous assault. "Shields down to 15%, the engineer screamed over the alarms. "Hull breaches on decks 7 and 12. Radiation levels increasing." Dr. Krill was frantically working at his station, his 6 legs moving across the controls with desperate speed. "Captain, I'm detecting something impossible." "What now?" Zexai asked, trying to keep his voice calm as his ship was torn apart around him. "Those explosions weren't conventional weapons, sir. They were fusion devices, nuclear fusion." "That's impossible. They're pre-FTL." "I know, sir, but the evidence is clear. These humans have learned to harness the power of stars and put it into their weapons." Zexai stared at the tactical display. No species in Federation history had developed nuclear weapons before achieving faster-than-light travel. It was unheard of. Most civilizations learned to travel between stars, met other peaceful species, and then had no need for such terrible weapons. "How many did they fire at us?" he asked quietly. 47 fusion warheads, sir. Each one powerful enough to destroy a city." The captain felt his 4 hearts sink. These humans had just casually fired enough nuclear weapons to sterilize a small moon, and they had done it within hours of first contact. "Sir?" Communications Officer Gurgle burbled. "I'm receiving a transmission from the planet." "Put it through." A human voice filled the bridge, speaking in broken but understandable galactic standard. "Alien ship, this is Earth Defense Command. You will withdraw from our system immediately or face complete destruction." "They learned our language," Dr. Krill whispered in amazement. "In 3 hours, they learned enough of our language to communicate threats." Zexai activated the communication system. "This is Captain Zexai of the Galactic Federation ship Harmony's Edge. We come in peace. Please cease your attacks so we can discuss this misunderstanding." There was a long pause. Then the human voice returned, sounding suspicious. "Galactic Federation? You're claiming to represent multiple species?" "Yes. We are explorers and diplomats from a peaceful alliance of civilizations. We meant no harm." Another pause. "Stand by." On Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen was having the strangest conversation of her life. The alien captain sounded genuinely confused and frightened. His ship was badly damaged from the nuclear strike, but it wasn't returning fire. "Ma'am," Dr. Harper said, "I've been analyzing their damaged ship. The technology is incredible, but what? It's not designed for combat. At all. Look at this analysis. Their hull is built for exploration, not warfare." Their systems are scientific instruments, not weapons. I don't think they have any weapons at all. Sarah felt a cold knot form in her stomach. You're saying we just nuclear bombed a peaceful exploration vessel? It appears so, ma'am. Get me the president now. While Sarah was dealing with the political nightmare of potentially starting an interstellar war, the real breakthrough was happening in the linguistics department at MIT. Dr. James Wright had been working with the alien mathematical communications for hours, and he had finally cracked enough of their language to attempt real communication. Admiral Chen, he said over the video link, I think I can facilitate a proper conversation between you and the alien captain. Do it. Minutes later, Captain Zexhai found himself in direct communication with Admiral Chen. The translation was rough, but they could understand each other. Captain Zexhai, this is Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth Defense Command. Are you injured? My crew is shaken but alive. Your weapons are very powerful. We apologize for the attack. We thought you were hostile. You were scanning our military installations. We were conducting standard exploration scans. We always study new civilizations to understand them better. It is our way. Sarah felt the knot in her stomach getting tighter. Captain, what is the Galactic Federation? An alliance of peaceful species who work together to explore space and share knowledge. We have over 10,000 member worlds. And you thought Earth would want to join this alliance? Of course. All civilizations benefit from peace and cooperation. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. Then she asked the question she was dreading. Captain, how many of your member species have nuclear weapons? Nuclear weapons? Zexhai sounded confused. We don't have weapons like that. No Federation species does. How is that possible? How do you defend yourselves? Defend ourselves from what? The question hung in the air like a challenge. Sarah realized that she was talking to someone who had never known war, never known the need for massive weapons, never had to fight for survival. Captain, I need to ask you something important. In your exploration of the galaxy, have you ever met a species like humans? What do you mean? Sarah took a deep breath. A species that fights, a species that has wars, a species that makes weapons. There was a long pause. When Zexhai spoke again, his voice was very quiet. No, Admiral. We have never met such a species. Most civilizations destroy themselves if they develop too much violence before achieving space travel. Those that survive usually become peaceful before they reach the stars. Captain, I need to explain something to you about humans. Over the next hour, Admiral Chen tried to explain human history to an alien who had no concept of war. She told him about the world wars, the Cold War, the thousands of conflicts that had shaped humanity. She explained about nuclear weapons, chemical weapons, biological weapons. She described the military-industrial complex, the arms races, the constant preparation for battle. With each revelation, Captain Zexhai became more horrified. You have had over 16,000 wars in your recorded history? That's just the major ones, Sarah admitted. And you currently have enough nuclear weapons to destroy your own planet several times over? Yes. And every nation on your world maintains a military force, of course. How else would we defend ourselves from each other, from external threats, from anyone who might want to hurt us? Dr. Krill had been listening to the conversation while scanning Earth more thoroughly. His findings were becoming more disturbing by the minute. Captain, he interrupted, I need to report something urgent. What is it, Doctor? I've been analyzing human society more carefully. Sir, they don't just have military weapons, they've turned everything into potential weapons. What do you mean? Their civilian aircraft can be converted to military use in hours. Their space program uses rockets that could deliver warheads to any target in their solar system. Their industrial capacity could produce military equipment faster than most species can build houses. They've created a civilization where every tool can become a weapon. Admiral Chen heard this and felt she should explain. Captain, we call it dual-use technology. Civilian equipment that can serve military purposes if needed. But why? Zexhai asked. Why would you build your entire civilization around the possibility of warfare? Sarah thought about how to explain this to someone who had never faced an enemy. Because, Captain, on Earth, if you're not prepared to fight, you don't survive. It's been that way for thousands of years. We've learned that peace is only possible when you're strong enough to defend it. But that's terrible. How do you live with such constant fear? We don't think of it as fear, Sarah said. We think of it as being prepared. Captain HFY was quiet for a long time. When he finally spoke, his voice was filled with something like awe and terror. Admiral Chen, I must ask you something very important. If Earth were to join the Galactic Federation, would your people be willing to give up your weapons? Sarah didn't hesitate. Absolutely not. I was afraid you would say that. Captain, let me ask you something. In 10,000 member worlds of your Federation, have you ever faced an external threat? Have you ever encountered a hostile species? No, Admiral. The galaxy is peaceful. We have never needed to defend ourselves from anything. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. Captain, I think you've been very lucky, but luck doesn't last forever. What do you mean? I mean that somewhere out there might be other species like humans, species that don't want to talk, species that want to take what you have. And when that day comes, your peaceful Federation is going to need someone who knows how to fight. Captain HFY considered this. The idea was almost too horrible to contemplate. But as he looked at the tactical display showing Earth's incredible military capabilities, he realized that Admiral Chen might be right. The galaxy might not be as safe as they thought, and these violent, dangerous humans might be exactly what the Federation needed. 3 weeks later, Captain HFY stood in the United Nations building in New York City, looking out at an assembly unlike any in galactic history. Representatives from every major nation on Earth sat alongside holographic projections of Federation, council members from across the galaxy. The air itself seemed tense with possibility and fear. Admiral Sarah Chen sat at the main table, reviewing the document that would change everything. The Sol Accords, as they were being called, were unlike any treaty ever written. They weren't just about peace between two species. They were about reshaping the entire galactic order. The Federation Council has reviewed Earth's capabilities, said Counselor Vexithera, her purple skin shimmering with nervousness. We find them both impressive and terrifying. President Williams leaned forward. Counselor, with respect, you haven't seen anything yet. We've only shown you our basic defensive measures. Dr. Krill, who had spent the past week studying human military technology, shuddered visibly. Please don't show us more. The negotiations had been unlike anything in Federation history. Usually new member species were eager to join the peaceful, galactic community and give up their primitive weapons. The humans had turned that entire process upside down. Let me understand this correctly, said Counselor Remdar, his insect-like features twitching with confusion. You want to keep all your weapons? Not just keep them, Admiral Chen said calmly. We want to expand them, improve them, and we want the Federation to help us do it. That goes against everything the Federation stands for. Does it? President Williams asked. The Federation stands for peace and cooperation. We're offering you both, but on our terms. Captain HFY, who had become something of a bridge between the two sides, spoke up. Counselors, perhaps we should review what we've learned about the galaxy during these negotiations. Over the past weeks, Federation scientists had been doing something they had never done before, looking for threats. What they found had shocked them to their core. Dr. Harper, representing Earth's scientific community, activated a holographic display. This is what we've discovered by applying human strategic thinking to Federation exploration data. The display showed the galaxy from a military perspective for the first time. Trade routes that could be blockaded. Resource-rich systems that could be conquered. Peaceful worlds that were completely defenseless. There are at least 6 species in unexplored regions that show signs of aggressive expansion, Dr. Harper continued. The Federation never noticed them because you weren't looking for threats. We don't think in terms of threats, Counselor War. Vexithara protested. Exactly, Admiral Chen said. And that makes you vulnerable. There's a species here. She pointed to a region beyond Federation space that appears to be strip mining entire star systems. They're moving toward Federation territory, and at their current rate of expansion, they'll reach your outer colonies in about 50 years. That's impossible. Our sensors would have detected hostile activity. Your sensors are designed to look for peaceful civilizations and natural phenomena, Sarah explained. You're not watching for camouflaged fleets, hidden bases, or strategic resource gathering. Captain Zexai looked at the display with growing alarm. Are you saying the galaxy is more dangerous than we thought? I'm saying the galaxy is exactly as dangerous as it always was, Sarah replied. You've just been lucky enough not to meet the dangerous parts yet. The human delegates had spent weeks educating Federation representatives about concepts they had never needed to understand: strategic deterrence, military logistics, threat assessment, intelligence gathering. It was like teaching mathematics to people who had never heard of numbers. So what exactly are you proposing? Asked Counselor Remdar. President Williams stood up and activated another display. We're proposing a new model for galactic civilization. The Federation continues as it always has: peaceful exploration, scientific advancement, cultural exchange. But with one addition. The display showed Earth's position in the galaxy, with lines extending to key strategic points throughout Federation space. Earth becomes the Federation's military headquarters. We take responsibility for defense, intelligence, and deterrence. We build the weapons, train the soldiers, and watch for threats. In exchange for what? Counselor Vexithara asked suspiciously. Access to Federation technology and resources, trade partnerships, scientific cooperation, and most importantly, the chance to protect 10,000 peaceful worlds from anything that might want to hurt them. The Federation counselors were quiet for a long time. The idea was revolutionary and terrifying. They had built their entire civilization around the principle that violence was unnecessary. Now they were being asked to embrace it. There is precedent for this, Captain Zexai said quietly. Everyone turned to look at him. In ancient Federation history, before we achieved true galactic peace, there were protector species, civilizations that specialized in defense while others focused on science or trade. It worked for thousands of years. That was different, Counselor Remdar protested. Those protector species were peaceful at heart. These humans, they enjoy conflict. Do we? Admiral Chen asked. Or do we simply understand that sometimes conflict is necessary? She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at New York City. Counselors, let me tell you something about human nature. We don't fight because we like violence. We fight because we've learned that sometimes fighting is the only way to protect what we love. She turned back to face the assembly. Every human parent teaches their child to be peaceful, but they also teach them to defend themselves if someone tries to hurt them. Every human nation tries to avoid war, but they also prepare for war in case someone forces it upon them. But your weapons are so excessive, Dr. Krill said, still shaking from weeks of studying human military technology. Our weapons are appropriate for the threats we've faced, Sarah replied, and from what we've seen of the galaxy, they're appropriate for the threats you might face too. President Williams returned to the main topic. Counselors, we're offering you something that has never existed in galactic history: a peaceful civilization protected by those who understand violence. You get to remain exactly as you are, pursuing science and culture and exploration. We handle the ugly necessities. And if we refuse? Counselor Vexithera asked. Sarah shrugged. Then you refuse. We're not going to force you to accept our protection, but when those aggressive species we've identified finally reach Federation space, you'll face them alone. The vote, when it finally came, was closer than anyone expected. The Federation Council spent hours debating, arguing, and considering. Half wanted to maintain their peaceful traditions. Half were terrified by what the humans had shown them about galactic threats. In the end, fear of the unknown outweighed fear of humanity. The Seoul Accords were signed by a margin of 1 vote. 6 months later, Admiral Sarah Chen stood on the bridge of the FSS Enterprise, the first joint Federation human starship. It was a strange vessel, built with Federation technology but designed according to human military principles. Exploration and diplomacy were still its primary missions, but it could also fight if necessary. Captain Zexhai served as her diplomatic officer, still struggling to understand human psychology but gradually learning to appreciate human strategic thinking. "Admiral," he said as they approached a previously unexplored system, "I've been thinking about our arrangement." "What about it?" "In Federation history, we've always assumed that intelligence and wisdom naturally led to peace. We believed that any species advanced enough to reach the stars would be enlightened enough to reject violence." Sarah nodded. "A reasonable assumption. But humans reached the stars while still embracing violence. You've achieved incredible technological advancement while maintaining a warrior culture. It suggests that our assumptions about the relationship between intelligence and peace might be incomplete." "Captain, let me suggest a different way of thinking about it," Sarah said. "Maybe intelligence and wisdom don't naturally lead to peace. Maybe they lead to the understanding that peace is worth fighting for." Zexhai considered this as they entered the new star system. Their sensors immediately detected something that would have escaped normal Federation attention. Artificial structures hidden among the asteroids, clearly designed for concealment. "Unknown vessels detected," the tactical officer reported. "Configuration suggests military purpose." "Shields up, weapons ready," Sarah ordered, then turned to Zexhai. "Would you like to handle first contact, Captain?" "I believe this situation requires human expertise, Admiral," Sarah smiled. "That's what we're here for." As the Enterprise moved to investigate the hidden fleet, both officers realized that their strange partnership was already proving its worth. The Federation's peaceful exploration had encountered something that required human understanding of conflict and strategy. The galaxy was indeed more dangerous than the Federation had realized, but now they had guardians who understood danger and were prepared to face it. The humans had found their place among the stars, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as protectors of those who had forgotten how to protect themselves. They would stand watch in the darkness, ready to fight so